Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Don't do it. Damn it. No!
Here he was, and heir to the kingdom of strings.
He was full of rosin. He wanted to pull a G string one last time. I see your light. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Now that we removed the hair from the head, we can put the stick on the side, we can put the baton on the side and just concentrate on the frog. We have to remove the ferrule, what is very difficult for me to say in English, and the word in French would be the passant, what is so much easier to say. You have to apply some force on each side to be able to pull it out, but you should be very careful to not scratch it, and you should not make any deformation. The more even careful you have to be is to be sure you're not damaging the tongue, which is the ebony part which is just under. It's a very fragile part and it can really break easily if you pull the ferrule in the wrong direction. Some will use pliers to put the ferrule out of the frog. They even reshape the inside of the pliers to be sure it's fitting the angle of the ferrule. If you want to use pliers, if you're used to this technique and want to continue using it, be careful to have something in between the pliers and the ferrule, so that you don't have any metal against metal, because this will make some scratch on the ferrule. This is very common. You see a lot of bow with some marks. Why I don't like to use pliers is that you have to concentrate on two different forces. One force is to push on the side of the ferrule, and one force is to pull the ferrule out to the opposite direction of the frog. I like to use a vice because you can really be extremely precise of the pressure you're putting on each side of the ferrule. Also, you use a vice with a really thick layer of leather to be sure you are not scratching the ferrule. You can use the minimal pressure you need to be able to maintain the ferrule. That pressure will be constant, it will never increase. You don't have to worry about bending the ferrule or making any deformation. You place now the ferrule inside the vise, you place it in a very horizontal position, and you put the less pressure as possible. When you pull and you see the ferrule is still sliding, you just apply a bit more pressure until it doesn't slide anymore. You will now pull the frog backward in a very, very straight direction. If you see it's getting very stuck and you cannot put the ferrule out, you can add a bit of sideways motion, very, very small ones, very carefully. What is very important is to never go up or down. So, you cannot put any pressure up or down on the tongue, the ebony part with under the ferrule, because it might just break. Very flat, no deformation, and no scratch. You have to remove the wedge before you remove the pearl slide. If you try to remove the PEARLSLIDE and the wedge is still in, you might just destroy the frog. When you rehair a bow, you want to be sure the wedge will hold in place and will be well glued and will never go away. When you remove the hair on a bow, you hope that the wedge will actually be easy to remove, and you have to think of it with the glue you use when you put some new hair on a bow. If some people will put some crazy glue or something like this, it will be extremely difficult to remove. And if you cross one of these wedge glued with a crazy glue, you will definitely hate that person who glued it. Don't be that person. You have to slide your knife very carefully in between the wedge and the ebony tongue. Use the flat part on the ebony side, and be sure you have a finger on the other side so all the pressure is absorbed. The wedge is nice and clean, as there's not any part of the ebony with glued on it will be removed from the original part. It's what you want to do. I posted this video about how to rehair a violin bow, but I didn't show you this. And this is something you should consider making. It's a handle from a bow, a broken bow actually. You can cut it out. You can even make it from scratch. It's something you can just put on top of the frog to protect it. To remove the PEARLSLIDE, with one hand you put two fingers on the side of the frog. With the other hand, you use the thumb and you push down and away. You see people using a chisel to push the PEARLSLIDE away, putting the chisel in between the small heel in metal and the PEARLSLIDE. You should not do this. It's very dangerous. Not very for you, even if you can cut yourself, I guess. But it's more because of the damage you can bring to the bow. If you have difficulties to remove the PEARLSLIDE, if you feel it stuck, you can try to use some rosin powder that you put on your finger, and it will grab much more on a PEARLSLIDE, and it can help to remove it. The last thing to do is to remove the plug inside the frog. Same as you did to remove the plug inside the head, you will use your chisel. It's not a very difficult thing to do. What you have to worry is in case your chisel slips, that you do not damage the frog or your finger, and for this you need to use a very controlled and safe movement to remove that plug. You're done now, you remove the hair from the bow and you can start to put some new hair again. For this, check my tutorial about how to rehair a violin bow.